Earl Black returns home from work. Attached to the residence is a family-owned bookstore run by his wife, Sherry.
My wife, Sherry, her car was in her parking place, so I figured she's home. I walked in the shop and hollered, "Sherry," and she didn't appear. There's a room across the back. This door was shut at that time, and I could see blood right above me. So I opened the door, and that's when I found her.
Earl's wife, Sherry, lays prone on the floor. She's not breathing.
She had a pair of scissors sticking out of her belly. I'll never forget it. I mean, how do you forget finding someone you love like that?
I was participating in some tactical training, and my phone rang. I was a lieutenant at the time, which puts me in charge of scene oversight. I went into the bookstore. As you walk in, it's a little bit of a labyrinth, books everywhere. I was directed towards the back, and our murder victim was on the ground and clearly deceased. It was a horrific sight to see. She died violently, and at whose hands, we don't know yet. We knew instantly that this was a homicide.
As crime scene investigators continue processing the scene for evidence, police develop a theory about what happened to Sherry and discover the killer may have left multiple clues behind.
What became evident is clearly there was a fight in this back room. With all of this blood, we have to assume that maybe this murderer's blood is going to be there also. We also were able to locate a partial fingerprint and a palm print. We felt elated because, as we know, just like DNA, fingerprints are specific to one particular individual. Palm prints are the same.
Police collect the fingerprints and blood samples and send them off for analysis. Results from the blood and fingerprints collected from the scene come back, offering new clues about the suspect's identity.
When I found out that we had suspect DNA, we ran it into CODIS, which is a database of criminal offender DNA, and we were informed that there was no match for DNA in that database. As far as the fingerprints and the palm print, we didn't get any hits. I was disappointed.
Leads dry up like the sun-cracked surface of the city's famous Salt Lake. And the case of the bookstore bibliophile goes cold.
The case was transferred over to the Unified Police Department. I had been involved in assisting South Salt Lake in this investigation. Now it's exclusively over at Unified Police Department. I would be assigned as the lead investigator to this case. And I decided I wanted to start fresh. In these types of cases, you really have to try to think of anything and try everything that you possibly can. And on occasion, you might turn over that little stone that all of a sudden produces something.
As Detective Pender searches for strategies to help find Sherry's killer, he comes across a new technology that may hold the key.
I was familiar with genealogy because my mother used to do that to make a little extra money for the family. But I hadn't even heard of anything called investigative genetic genealogy.
We know that there are multiple different databases people will submit their DNA to determine their genealogy, their familial history. And if we can find through our suspect DNA who this person may be related to, then there's a good chance that we can trace back to our suspect.
I got a call from the genealogist who said, we have a match to an individual who we believe is closely related to your perpetrator. The family were located in Sacramento, California. I knew I needed to get out there and interview him. I actually brought a photograph of Sherry and Earl Black to this home. As we were talking, I asked the adult son if maybe in high school he would have had some type of intimate relationship. He said, I did. And she had indicated to me that I had fathered a child. He'd received some paperwork signing off custody. That paperwork was actually out of Utah. We were able to actually identify that his name is Adam Antonio Spencer Durborough. He had an extensive record in his juvenile criminal history of violence. As far as his adult criminal history, Adam was charged with shoplifting. That's the only thing he has on his adult criminal history. He would have been 19 years of age when Sherry was murdered. And now he was living in the Orem area, 30 miles south of Salt Lake County. The following day, we drove down to Orem and held surveillance on this residence for a number of days to kind of get his routine down. One of the investigators happened to see a sack from a fast food restaurant inside of his vehicle and ultimately saw Adam dispose of this at his residence in the waste container outside. We took the trash and I informed our state crime lab. They said, great, bring it down to our office. So I went home for the night, went to bed. About 2 or 3 in the morning, I actually got a text and my wife asked, who's texting you at this time in the morning? And I said, it's the lab, it's a match. And I really became emotional at that point. I just laid there and kind of started thinking things through of where we go from here. We followed Adam to Walmart. 6 plainclothes investigators approached Adam. Adam was told he was under arrest. We immediately put him in my patrol vehicle. I'm thinking to myself, we've got to get him to the office. We got to get this interview going. As we're driving, he says, I know what you want to talk about, and if it's what I think you want to talk to me about, then I would want an attorney present. He lawyered up. However, we did have a warrant already prepared for his fingerprints, for his DNA, and for photographs. And I thought, after we take those items, do I just take him to jail and book him in? Or do I put him in the interview room and give it a chance?
Detective Pender rolls the dice. He places Adam Durborough in an interrogation room.
When you get over to the bookstore, is there something that, is there something that sets you off?
I think it was just her being kind, honestly. I saw myself as a terrible, terrible person.
I guess I'm trying to understand.
Why her?
Well, why? Yeah, why her? Why Sherry?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I thought that I was this horrible person growing up. I was young and stupid. I didn't control myself. It wasn't personal. It wasn't planned. It was spontaneous. I wish I could take it back.
I'm not 100% sure why Adam picked Sherry, other than the fact that I do believe Sherry was kind to Adam, and I think Adam had not had that in his life. And I also believe, based on her kindness, for whatever reason, that snapped Adam and unfortunately just brutally killed Sherry.
Sherry Black's family gathers at the courthouse for Adam Durborough's sentencing. The judge sentences Adam Durborough to life. without the possibility of parole.